guys, it is Tristan with nerdettes-newsstand, and I want to talk a little bit about something I have before, but I want to bring it up again specifically because we're going to talk about it on a community stream on Sunday. And that is something I mostly referred to as anti-SJWs, but I want to encompass the whole thing and talk about the hate industrial complex. And when I'm talking about that, I specifically mean both sides of the equation. The idea of, first off, everything being woke, or, going even further to the other side where everything needs to be changed. And I think there needs to be a happy medium. And I think most of us exist in that happy medium. And I think there is room for compromise when it comes to both sides. But at the end of the day, I want to talk about this more as an industry. And the reason I want to touch upon this is actually something I recommended on my community post. I want to make sure I mention it also here, and that is New Think by Greg Horowitz. It is a 5-issue miniseries that kind of dives into socio-political topics. It dives into the idea of us being slaves to our phone or to screens. It is a Black Mirror-esque style anthology that does a really good job of trying to be fair to the idea of differences. And what makes us different also kind of makes us great and makes us have to be able to tolerate and understand each other. Now, I know this sounds like a whole lot of psychobabble, right? I'm going to relate this to comics and pop culture. I promise you, just hang in with me. But issue number 5 came out on Wednesday. And this was something very, very simple. It was a woman telling a story to a bunch of children that were listening that had no idea about politics or about, just what exactly was going on in the world, and thinking, yeah, we could never get to a point where we were calling each other SJWs or Nazis or, getting to the point where we hate each other. But we were all there at one point. We were all young kids at one point and thought we'd never get to that idea. But yet pop culture has become that in a nutshell, really, really bad. And I think a lot of the reason for this is the hate industrial complex. And what I specifically mean by that is it is an industry. It is a way to make money. It is a way to generate and kind of extort these properties for your own financial gain. Now, there is a lot of pushing boundaries and ideals on Twitter. I don't know much about Twitter. I'm not going to lie. I don't think much revenue is created there. But the main industry of this is on YouTube. And a lot of it comes by way of constantly either wanting people to get blackpilled, become doomsayers, right? Or being outraged by simply everything. And this is where the topic really takes a left turn, so to speak. Not being ironic there at all, but I'm just saying, the idea that everything out there is bad is in itself propaganda. I mentioned this yesterday on my community stream because people buy into it over and over and over. If you're somebody that enjoyed DC but really looked at the Vertigo titles, go indies. There are so many great indies out there. Now, maybe about once every 2 or 3 months, you'll see a screenshot pop up that says something usually written by John Ridley about, he created the Colonialist to kind of be, I guess, super meta, but the joke didn't really land. He also had one in, I Am Batman, talking about Renee Montoya, but his new book is phenomenal. You should check it out. It's about the GCPD. Regardless, you'll see these screenshots pop up going, oh my God, look, we proved it. We proved it. The SJWs have taken over. Again, I want to repeat this. This is propaganda in order to make you upset. It's all part of this revenue generating part of nerd culture to sell you something. In this instance, it is anger. It is fear. It is the idea that the world has been taken over by somebody you do not like. Somebody that has ideas that are diametrically opposed to your ideas. And you don't want that, right? So you want to gatekeep. And I've been very clear about how I am on gatekeeping. I'm completely against it. But even I have seen lately a lot of hate for Megan Fitzmartin. I'll use her as an example, right? Coming out, and I am not a Megan Fitzmartin fan. I have not read Robin #2, but I have not been a fan of her work in the Dark Crisis Titans tie-in. But a lot of people saying, well, Megan Fitzmartin hates you because she wrote a villain villainously. She wrote a villain that was evil, and now she hates you. So she must believe what the villain is saying, right? That's absolutely ridiculous. That's like saying everybody that wrote a Nazi thinks and acts and behaves and believes in Nazi propaganda. You should be able at this point to write a villain without somebody thinking you have those specific ideals. Now, it's a bit of a different situation because the character that we're specifically talking about is more of a entitled fan, which is not a new concept. Again, a lot of this hate industrial complex relies on ignorance. Check out Superboy Prime if you want to see what a true, great, entitled fan looks like. It's not a new idea. It was just written by Geoff Johns. And that alone tells you it's probably written a lot better, right? So this idea, this kind of inner working of people being able to outrage, being able to upset, and the media does it also. How many times have you looked at a headline or seen a headline, a screenshot of a headline, where it's, this is racist now because A, B, and C. Like, exercising is racist. This is racist, right? This is not specifically to the right. They just know how to repackage it for nerd culture. This is something that is done. And this is something that I personally take issue with no matter what side it's on. Now, the reason I take issue with it is because it's selling something that's not there. It's selling something that is basically labeling people, causing fear, causing blame, causing anger and hate. And even in some situations, now it's very few and far between, but it can lead to radicalization and violence, right? But if you look up Star Wars, if you just sign out of your YouTube and you look up Star Wars, you're going to get these channels. So how do you combat something like that? How do you go about it? And that's really what I want to talk about on Sunday. How do you actually compete with the anger? And I don't actually, and it's not defeatist, it's not me being pessimistic. I don't think there is a way. Because even if you make a positive video, myself, about She-Hulk, it's going to get downvoted to hell because the idea has been bought, sold, and completely encompassed by the people online that this is this terrible thing, right? So it's going to get squished in the algorithm. I'm not sure there is a way. I do think there are simple things that we can do by trying to humanize all type of people, trying to create some sort of peaceful discourse within the community, trying to commit to being honest and open and transparent about what you're really interested in. And for me, that's comics and pop culture, right? That's what my channel's always been based on. I think there are certain ways to do it, but at this point, I almost think it is defeatist in nature to even try. I don't think there is a possibility of competing on that level. So you create something new. You create what you want to do. You repackage and resell your enthusiasm. And I think that's the only way to really make sure you're not really engaging with that hate industrial complex. You're not the one. Now, again, somebody's going to repackage my words and be like, well, you said we can't criticize anything. We can't dislike anything. That is not what I'm saying. Not even in the least. I just literally said in this video, I wasn't a fan of the Dark Crisis Titans tie-in, but not because Megan Fitzmartin wrote a villain as a villain. I'm not a fan of her fake woke stuff. I'm not a fan of her writing style. I think a lot of what she does is at the core of it, especially with Sissy, not understanding the character. So I dropped the title. I stopped talking about it. I'm not a fan of something. I stopped talking about it. It makes sense, right? Or you would at least think so, I guess. I don't know. And that's why I'm opening this up to a bigger discussion, because I want to know what you guys think when it comes to combating this type of capitalism at its finest, or if it's, again, if you're on the same page I am, where it's like, it's impossible. You really can't defeat this type of hate and anger. You just can't. I'm curious what you think. Let me know down below, and we will talk about this more on the community stream on Sunday. I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.